Land acknowledgement. So we recognize and pay respect to the people and the lands that we live on, which are home to many First Nations, Inuit, Métis people, and reaffirm our relationship with one another. We acknowledge we're on the traditional lands referred to as Treaty 4 territory, the original lands of Cree, Ojibwe, Sato, Dakota, Nakota, Lakota, and homeland of the Métis people. Land acknowledgements remind us of our shared history. We do this acknowledgement to reaffirm our commitment to truth and reconciliation, and to recognize our responsibility in improving relationships between nations and our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. We're grateful to live and work and interact with people all across. Thank you. So just going back to our Sunday schedule, it's exciting. So we have transitioning opening for our dev series at 6:30 to 7:45. We will have a wetsuit announcement at 6:40, commencing with our 7:30 to 8:30, where we'll have transition open body marking and such for our triathlon and standard aqua bike. And between 8 and 9 o'clock, our sprint triathlon, duathlon, and aquathon. So at 7 o'clock for our dev series starting here, we have our swim warm-up starting from 7 to 7:20. And then we have our mandatory dev series, youth 12 to 15, our adult briefing. At 7:40, we have our 12 to 15 male super sprint draft legal start. And then at 7:45, we have their female sprint draft legal start. And then following that, we have our mandatory dev series 16 and 19 and our U23 briefing. Right after that, we're looking at an 8 o'clock start for our male sprint draft legal, as well as 8:20, we have our female sprint draft legal start. Is there any other questions on the event starting for the dev series at this point?
I thought I'd mention, Jennifer, that
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be male relays and female relays as different from the mix that was initially proposed. So there'll be a 7:30 start for the males and a 7:35 start for the female relays.
Thank you. Thanks, Fiona.
There's no questions in the chat, Jen.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. So swim, we're going to get right to our swim. So swim cap is placed on your in your race packet. It must be worn during swim. So please do not trade with anybody else. The caps are color coded. So our super sprint distance will be a white swim cap. Our sprint distance will be green, and our standard distance will be blue. And that'll also coincide with all your wristbands that you will be required to wear for the weekend as well. So wetsuit decision, mandatory, allowed, or forbidden, will be announced in the race morning too, as well as stated in our event calendar. So elite 23 junior athletes, we have our temperature readings here for forbidden and mandatory. 20 degrees and above is forbidden, mandatory is for 15.9 and below. Age group, and then as well, age group for 50-59. So forbidden if it's 22 and above, and mandatory if it's 15.9 and below. An age group for 60-64 category or older, 24.6 and above is forbidden, and mandatory for 15.9% or 19 Celsius below. And also note that as an athlete, you're concerned about the lake temperature and race day, and it's your responsibility just to check in regarding the wetsuit temperature, and the athletes prepared for any possible scenarios. 4 weeks ago, our reading for our temperature on the lake was 16 degrees for our Give It a Try race. So just to kind of give you an idea of what that was when we took that 4 weeks ago for our temperature reading. Our swim course will be monitored by boats and kayaks, and paddle boarders will each cover the particular section of the course, and there'll be medical personnel who will be standing by at the swim area for the duration of the swim, and if anyone requires assistance. If there's anyone requiring assistance, you can stop and put up your hand immediately, and you will have somebody in the water, paddleboard, boat, kayak, whatsoever, be able to provide that attention if you're looking at stopping in the race. At any point that you're looking at proceeding, you want to be able to let go of your paddleboard or kayak whatsoever to continue the race. You just can't move forward if you are positioned and stopped during that time frame. So swim course cutoff time. So standard, 1 hour and 10 minutes after the standard athlete enters for the standard athletes. And for sprint, it's 35 minutes. And as you can see, the swim course map, opening the swim course clockwise with the swim buoys from the start and to the finish, the swim on the main beach. Swim course distances are shown here. So this is what it ideally will look as close to possible. When race day, depending on the placement of the buoys and the depth of the sand barrier, there's a little bit of sand that makes it more shallow in some areas here. So it may vary a little bit, but this is definitely what it should look like on race day as close as possible. So this being this small triangle loop right here is your 375, and then leaving the beach right here to the furthest corner out here, following there to the left and back in again is 750. So you would do that once for the sprint and then do that twice for the 1500 meters.
We do have a question in the chat. Jen, I don't think I have the answer for it. So there's a question is, could you please explain some more about the Dev Series relay? Did you just say it was not a mixed race? Also, does each athlete race the course twice?
Great.
Do you want me to address that, Jen?
Sure, if you want to jump in, sure, that's great.
Okay, hi everyone.
Just kind of last minute, and I know that Yvonne was graciously kind of took this on to make it happen because we were short on a few athletes to get the relay started, and she was lucky enough to bring some board.
So just everyone, I'm the chair of the Western Dev Series, and so I've been involved with your coaches and designing the series and the relay. We had hoped it would be mixed, but we didn't have enough males and females from each province, so we've turned it into a same gender relay. So it's a 2x2 same gender. So what that means is you're paired up. Now there are 6 females, 2 from each province, BC, Alberta, and Saskatchewan. So you're each going to be your own team, and you will complete 2 aquathons. So the first athlete 1 will do a full aquathon. There'll be an exchange zone, and you'll tag your teammate in that exchange zone, and off that teammate goes and does their aquathon, and then they'll come back and tag you, athlete 1, and then the total cumulative time is when the second athlete completes the second aquathon. And so you're going to want to be efficient in those exchanges. We'll set that up so it's very clear to you where you need to be. And Saturday is not a big day, so we have lots of space and room at the beach. So does that answer your questions? The males will be partnered, and all of you are from Alberta, and so you're matched up, and we can share those. We're just we've done the assignments, and we're just waiting to hear from your coaches if they had any feedback on which males are being teamed up. So that will be finalized by Friday. So I'll let your coaches know. That helps.
Thanks, Yvonne. I appreciate that. Fiona, did you have anything else to add on the swim portion of the race at this point?
Just a couple of points.
Sure.
Some of them will be obvious for anyone who's participated before. So namely in the swim, intentional interference with other swimmers can get you disqualified. A word about the start. The start will be on the beach. There will be a call of on your marks, and then there will be an air horn blast or similar loud noise to tell you to go. It's quite shallow, close to shore, but dolphin diving is not allowed. That there's risks associated with that, so you'll need to run and then start swimming. For false starts, if there's a mass false start, there will be a series of air horn blasts and you will return to the shore and the start will be repeated. If somebody does an individual false start and everybody else goes at the appropriate time, that individual will be assigned a time penalty when they're for having committed the false start. So that's just a few reminders on the swim rules.
Excellent. Thanks, Fiona. I appreciate that. And you see no other questions, Jamie, at this point? All right. We're on to transition here. So I'm just going to walk you through transition. So transition is located at the Echo Lake Beach, of course, and it's about 25 meters or just under from the start to finish line area from the beach. So as you can see, my nice blue beach here and the arrow transitioning, and this will be your entrance into transition to get your bike here. And then as well, when you're going to exit out here with your bike, you're going to go at the green arrows right here to the bike mount and mount after the mount line there. Within transition, when you come back on your bike, this is the ones that are doing the triathlon, whether it's sprint or standard. You're going to be coming back in on this orange line here, dismounting before the dismount line and coming along your transition area here along the fence. And you're going to turn left back into transition and hang your bike on the bike rack before removing your helmet. When you're transitioning to your one portion, you're running out of transition, following the blue arrow here and exiting your right across kind of a grassy area, and you'll eventually come to more of a pavement area, which will follow with a path in the markings of the maps that I have below here that we can go through. So transition over. Oh, sorry.
I just wanted to mention about the aquathon relay. You will exit on the beach and you will run through transition without picking up your bike and start your run from there. So you will go through transition as part of the relay route.
Okay, perfect. So transition opens up at 6:30 in the morning for the Dev Series and 7:30 to 8 for the athlete groups. And really, the reason why we've got a split transition open here was just to help encourage athletes to have it less congested area within the transition areas. So that's why I've designated 6:30 start for any of the Dev Series athletes to be able to get in there and get started for their event, and then as well age group kind of file in afterwards, just to, like I said, to help with any kind of congestion within the transition area.
Jen, do they have a special marked area, the Dev Series athletes in transition?
Yes, great question. So within on transition, there'll be assigned transition area for the Dev Series based on super sprint and sprint. There'll be actually names as well as buckets for your gear to have as well. And they will be able to have a designated area for yourselves for the Dev Series as the other events as well.
Great.
Fiona, you mentioned no dolphin dives for the start. There's a question here, is that also applicable to the exit? And I would assume yes. And you're on mute, just so you.
Yes, it would be.
Thank you.
Great questions, guys. Thanks, Fiona and Jamie.
And just to add, your timing chip, it's going to be a chip start. So once you cross the timing mat, your time begins.
Excellent. And just within the transition area too as well, we'll have an area for you to get body markings, and then as well get set up for your be able to get time to set up for your transition. Please remove any bags or any equipment not needed for your race and place them against another area away from the transition area. I would say outside or against the fence area, just well far away from any of your equipment. So we want to make sure that it's kept clean and clear within transition area to avoid any kind of garage sales, basically, so that you're not like running through other people's stuff. So just whatever is in transition, keeping that tight within around your bike, and then anything extra just outside. As well, I know that Fiona might want to speak to this, but any markings used to identify your bike is against the rules of Triathlon Canada, and so that will be removed within the transition area if you try marking your bike in any way. And just again, going through removing your personal items away from your transition area there. And in T1, before the swim, you want to rack your bike by its seat, of course. I'm just going to admit somebody in here, and as well, on one side of the bike or the other, as you see the picture here, on your seat on one side, and then the handlebars is showing that it's wrong. And maybe I'll let you speak to if you want to add anything else to, Fiona, which you probably do have for transition area that you'd like to speak to as the official.
You've covered a couple of the things already. Don't touch your bike in transition until you have your helmet on and clipped. It's a rule we should all be familiar with now. If you have left your helmet clipped in the transition area, the officials will unclip it while you're swimming. The only other thing I would mention is only athletes are in the transition area, and we consider that that excludes coaches as well. The athletes will need to set up their equipment themselves. That's it, Jen.
Great. Thanks, Fiona. So just moving on to the bike course. So the course features transitioning from some rolling as well as some flat terrain around the lake within our Fork Valley. So participants will look at leaving the Echo Lake area and you're immediately turning right onto Highway 56, which is going to take you around the lake onto eventually Paseo Road and back into transition again. So one loop is 20 kilometers approximately. So the sprint will do one loop and the standard course will do 2 loops. And then I've also got highlighted for the super sprint here just shortly if you have a turnaround out and back from the beach area as well. And as well as standard aquabike athletes complete the same bike course as the standard athletes, and sprint duathlon athletes do the same bike course as sprint. When it comes to the Dev Series, which I'll show you this map slightly, as like I talked about, there'll be an out and back on Highway 56, which the turnaround point will be about approximately 3 kilometers, and then it'll cover a total distance of 6 kilometers. This is the Dev Series map coming out of the beach area through out of transition and turning your right-hand turn onto Highway 56, turning another right-hand turn, which takes you to a lodge right here, which will be the turnaround point, and there'll be also a volunteer there to support you, and back again into transition before you go for your run. Again, this is the picture, the large picture of the lake that you will go around for the full 20 kilometers or just under. You're exiting out of the beach area here, taking your right-hand turn and taking another right-hand turn, and that takes you all the way around the lake. There's no other turns, very self-explanatory around the lake here. And you come to a point where there'll be a right-hand turn here, and then the quick left-hand turn, and then back onto the main road, which will be a right-hand turn that'll take you the rest of the way around the lake. There'll be some volunteers in this area, which is within the Copel Valley town, as well as, so just volunteers to be able to support you right here. Any questions? Be careful in this area, turning back onto the right-hand Broadway street, as it is not closed down, just for the course for the bike.
So
Did you wanna
Jen,
add-
there's a
okay.
question here that
Yeah.
is the sprint draft legal, not the youth, right?
Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, what was that, Yvonne?
Well, the bike course that, just to clarify, which is the youth dev series and which is the sprint
Yeah.
draft legal. So
Yeah, so this is a youth that does 6 kilometers on the bike, out and back. And the sprint is once around the lake for the Dev Series.
And for the youth, do they cross the highway? Like they'll kind of, the volunteer will send them on the other side to come back? Is that how it works?
Sorry, Carly, say that again?
For the youth, will they cross the road? Like they'll go on, stay on the right side of the road on the way out, and then volunteer will help them cross and loop back, and they'll be on the other side of the road. Is that right?
Yeah, completely, because it's out and back, right? So they're going to take
Yeah.
a right-hand turn, follow the shoulder here along the Highway 56, and turning a right-hand turn. There'll be another volunteer right here as well at the right-hand turn there. And they're going to go out to this lodge, like I mentioned. There'll be somebody out here too as well to support them to ensure they turn around and go out on back on the shoulder of that road.
Okay.
Of the highway.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't like a closed road where they weren't on the shoulder or something where we had to tell them otherwise, but just if we tell them to stay on the shoulder, they'll be okay.
Yes, stay on
Okay,
the
perfect.
shoulder. Stay on the shoulder. It's not a closed highway, so of course we have volunteers out there, but it's not closed. So
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you. Yep,
Thank
sounds
you,
good.
Carly.
So Jennifer, one thing I'd like to mention is these are draft legal races, but it's legal to draft off another bike. It's not legal to draft off a vehicle or motorbike. That is not. The draft zone for a motorbike is 15 meters and for a vehicle is 35 meters.
Thanks, Fiona. And for our run course here for the super sprint distance, we're looking at completing 1.5 K within the grassy area, which you will have to do 2 loops to get 1.5 in here for the super sprint distance. So you're going to be leaving the transition area here, this green box, which is a transition area, and heading out right through a little bit of grassy area, and then right again onto somewhat pavement sidewalk there, and then you're going to go left and follow the green grassy area in here. And it's not going to be as straight as it shows, but it's definitely within this grassy area, and doing a loop back here in front of before the finish line, and going back out and doing one more loop before coming back in and going back through the finish line. That is for the super sprint run course.
And that's the run course for the aquathon as well.
It is, absolutely. Yeah. So in this case, we're looking at doing a couple times, to get your 1.5K. There would be markers out there too, as well as volunteers to support. As for the sprint distance the sprint distance here talks about 1.5 loops for the run course. And I'm just going to go right to the map because I'd like to follow it with you guys on here. And so you can ask any questions for that. For the sprint course here, you're starting at the beach area. It's still going through this grassy area all the way through almost to the end, turning kind of a roundabout left and a slight right where you're going to go up kind of partial grassy area, and you're going to cross actually the highway right here. There'll be volunteers right here. Again, the course not being closed, but there'll be volunteers overseeing that area. And then you're going to run down Highway 56, and you're going to actually turn your right-hand turn right here. Lots of volunteers cheering you on, and you're going to head down this road right here. And it goes almost along the beach area too on Pasqua. And you're going to head up a slight hill, I like to say, just slight. and you're going to go to your immediate right. And there's 2 water stations right here, right across from each other. So you're going to pass the water station a couple times. So you're going to the water station right here, and you're going to go to the hole in the wall, kind of do kind of a loop, or you've seen like kind of a triangle here on the map, and make your way over on your left hand side or the right hand side, sorry, up. There's some washrooms right there, and head back down the road again and head to the water stations again. And you're going to do a right hand turn here. And this is going to take you out to the Hidden Coulee Campground, it's called. And it's a straight line there that you're going to take, and it's going to come to kind of like a half circle, and you'll definitely know where to turn around there. There'll be another volunteer there, of course, but you're going to do kind of like a turn a roundabout there, and you're going to head back down the same road on the right hand side back to the water station. So have an opportunity to be able to be at the water station again. And your half loop right here before going back is you're going to go out to the hole in the wall again, which is called the hole in the wall campground, doing this loop again, coming back to the water station. So you'll be well hydrated, and you're going to be able to turn a left-hand turn here, and you're going to head back the way you came along again the beach area and up the slight road and back to the highway. And you're going to stay on the shoulder there, not have to cross until you get back here where you cross the cross the first time from the grassy area, and following the route back to the finish line. Any questions on the run course for the sprint course?
Just a comment that note that there is a reasonably long uphill to the turnaround. So within the campground site, it's almost like a false flat going up towards the top turnaround at the Coulee campground. But it's a nice little downhill when you're going back.
Yeah. So Dan is referring to this part right here that Jamie just spoke about. So you're like from this area right up here. It's a gradual false flat, like Jamie says. So it's a gradual hill, nothing crazy, Dan. And then you're way back down a slight decline. So yeah, thank you.
So to confirm, there isn't an out and back to the ice cream shop in the sprint loop.
There is not, no.
Yeah.
And I think for the depth series, that kind of covers kind of the course. Talk a little bit about the time results, as well as the parking, and then a few race items that I kind of wanted to cover. So unofficial results will be posted by Zone 4, just to let you know in real time. And then if you do decide to drop out the race for some reason, please let an official know so that you can officially let, so we can take care of you and take your timing chip and such. And please just making a note not to cross the mat and just letting an official know that you're not proceeding. So
Jen, can I mention something? So if you have a penalty, so I'm the head referee, I'm going to know of all the penalties that occur. And if you have a drafting penalty well, I guess it's a non-draft. So don't worry about the bike because it's draft legal. But if you have any other kind of penalties, sportsmanship, athlete conduct, all of blocking, all of those kinds of things will get reported. And we will have a penalty area, and by the finish line, that's where there's going to be a board that will list your bib number to, and you should check that just to make sure that you should be notified, but perhaps you were not. We'll have a list of those, and hopefully the board is blank, but that's what you should be looking for. And I'm the person that you would talk to about that penalty and any kind of protest or appeal.
Thanks, Yvonne. Awesome. So just some other race items here. So again, I think I mentioned earlier, you guys, that you'll have a wristband that matches the color of your swim cap, whether you are super sprint. And then you will also, you want to wear those to identify what event you're in, as well as they're kind of like your meal ticket to have breakfast in the morning too. So you want to make sure you have your wristband on at all times. And then timing chips will be provided by Zone 4 at Echo Lake when you're checking in. And body markings will be done at this time frame too as well. And on Sunday, your left arm and your left leg will match your bib number, just to kind of give you a heads up on that. And so where does your timing chip go? So make sure your timing chip is affixed to your left ankle prior to the swim start, and have it worn on you the whole time of the event that's taking place. And please do not lose your timing chip, as there's a charge for lost chips, just to kind of give you a heads up. What else? There's washrooms and toilets, of course, in transition area, just to let you guys know. There'll be race day medical and post-race as well. Athletes needing medical assistance, just to let you know, there'll be medical assistance with our ski patrol there the entire event day. As well as post-race day. We are on Sunday. We're excited to have a pancake breakfast that's included in your event. So again, just please show your wristband in order to get your breakfast. Following that too as well, we're going to have some announcements for awards as well. And that's really all I have for our Dev athletes. I'm really super pleased. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, just on the timing. So I'll also be the chief of technology and managing the timing. If you notice, you can track and have your family track it on live on the Zone 4 website. If you notice any discrepancy, come and talk to me right away. We will be validating, taking manual times and comparing them against the Zone 4 timing just to validate it. But sometimes issues come up, just the way the file was coded. And so we like to receive information from people if they think that there was an inaccuracy, because total time can also be appealed. So just to let you know, we're open to you talking to us and letting us know, hey, this doesn't seem right. And we work with our remote timers on site, and we make sure that those results are accurate.
Thanks, Yvonne. Was there any other questions in the chat? I can't see them myself here. I just wanted to double check for the Dev series.
Thomas just had a question if there will be in the middle of the run course, if it'll be spray painted so they know where the turnaround and which way to go. And I've already responded back that we'll have spray painting. We'll also have pylons out there. We'll have volunteers out there directing you. You know, if you're doing the 1.5 for that turnaround piece where you have to do your second loop, we'll have people out there going this way for your second loop. So again, spray paint, markings, pylons, everything. So
Absolutely.
you will be okay.
Great. Thanks, Jamie.
Shall I stop the recording for this part?
Yeah, let's stop. We've got about 5 minutes before our age group. So thanks, Yvonne, for recording that for us. That's perfect. So I just, before we get started, I'd like to do some introductions. I'm just wondering if we can mute that in the background there. Sorry, guys. Thanks. Awesome. Let me see. Can I hear it? Yeah, it's all good now. Thanks so much. So thanks everyone for joining this evening for our athlete briefing, our athlete briefing for our Multisport Festival this weekend. We're excited for everybody to come. So thank you for joining us tonight just to chat a few things going through our athlete guide. And I have a great panel here that are helping support with this call. So first of all, I'm Jennifer Mazer. I am the president of Regina Multisport, as well as the race director for this race. So welcome, everyone. I would also like to have Yvonne and both Fiona and Jamie introduce themselves. So I'll leave it up to Yvonne. You go next.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Yvonne Kafik. I'm the Executive Director of Triathlon Saskatchewan, but in the context of this event, I'm your head referee. I'll turn it over to Fiona.
Good evening, everyone. For this event, I am the technical delegate, which is one of the two head officials, technical delegate and the head referee. There's another set of 4 other people who will be chief of swim, chief of transition, chief of bike, and chief of run. And that'll be our officials team for Sunday.
And I am Jamie Mims. I am the vice president of Regina Multisport, and I'm just looking. No, I'm not on mute. Yay. And for this event, I am the run captain. So you'll see me out there with a high vis vest on, pointing and saying, go this way, go this way. I need to see your wristband. What color are you? Because you got to go that way. So I'll be out on the run course yelling at you and directing you which way to go. Nicely. I'll be nice about it.
Excellent. Thanks, you guys. I appreciate your support tonight. So I'd like to just get started with the land acknowledgement. I would like to start with that. I think it's important we recognize and pay respect to the peoples and the land that we all live on, which are home to many First Nations, Inuit, Métis people, and reaffirm our relationship with one another. We acknowledge and we're on traditional lands referred to as Treaty 4 territory, the original lands of the Cree, Ojibwe, Saulteaux, Dakota, Nakota, Lakota, and the homeland of Métis people. Land acknowledgements remind us of our shared history. We do this acknowledgement to reaffirm our commitment to truth and reconciliation, and to recognize our responsibility in improving relationships between nations and our own understanding of the local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. We are grateful to live, work, and interact with all peoples from across Canada. And I'm just going to share my screen here momentarily. Great. Jamie, can you see my screen this time ahead of time?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So again, I just want to welcome everybody from RMC and just really go through some of our race event notices and event schedule. That with our race event schedule, we have it posted on our Regina Multisport.com website, and we also I sent it out in our emails earlier between yesterday and today. And so just really want to answer any kind of questions that you may have prior to race day or during race day. So just to talk about the race event schedule to start off with, we are right now looking at our race briefing, so which is great. We've just finished with the Dev series, and we are all together here. And we're also looking at recording this so that if anybody is missed out on not be able to attend this evening, we will have this posted for the recording for others to be able to look at later. So Thursday, we have age group package pickup. Now we're looking at Western Cycle for this location, and this has been a challenge because we've had lots of out-of-town people coming in, which is fabulous. So if you can, please get your package at Western Cycle on Thursday between 4 and 7. That'd be terrific. And if you're from out of province and or from out of the city and require to have another method of picking up your athlete package, please just reach out to me. So Friday, we've got our familiarization course, and this is actually starting at 4 o'clock. This is a misprint, just to give you guys heads up. Everybody's invited to that at the Echo Beach, and we'll have Patrick Ash as our provincial coach there, and everybody's invited to come to that. And then we have Saturday, we're going to just skip right by there, and we have our Dev series that are starting first with our race on Saturday. We're looking at doing an aquathon relay in the morning, starting at 7:30, and then we have our Kids of Steel that will be right after that aquathon. So we're looking at having our Kids of Steel check in, getting the wristbands, and getting ready at 8 o'clock at the beach area there. And then they're welcome to do a warm up if they would like between 8:15 and 8:30 for the Kids of Steel. And then we've got the different age groups, as you can see in the race guide here, from your ages 4 to 5 all the way to 14 to 15. We're looking at a few different time frames to start with that. And then we've got colors just coinciding with your wristbands for the age groups as well. Looking at 4 to 5 age group, we'll look at 25 meters swim and 100K run. And then ages 6 to 7, 50 meter swim and 200 meter run. And ages 8 to 9, 100 meter swim and a 400 meter run. We will have the ages 10 to 11, 200 meter swim and a 500 meter run. And ages 12 to 13, 375 meters per swim and a 1K run. And then our 14 to 15, 375 meter swim and a 1.5K run. And as well, just to let you know of the course for the Kids of Steel, it will be in front of the beach in shallow area, and there'll be volunteers in the water. Our rescue unit will be lined up to help support a route or a course for our swim area for our Kids of Steel on the beach there. Go ahead, Fiona.
A couple of points. We will allow parents in the transition area for setup, but during the race, except for the youngest kids, the 6, 7-year-olds and 4, 5-year-olds, we don't want parents in the transition area. We will allow them in for the youngest group. And the other thing that I want to be sure to mention is that there's a water temperature cutoff of 18 degrees for kids in the water. So if the water is at the shore is colder than 18 degrees, this will become a run.
Thanks, Fiona.
Thanks, Jen.
Yeah, great. Kids is still covered. Jumping to Sunday, exciting. So we've got transition opening for our Dev series to start off with. We're going to skip to our age group transition opening and body marking for both the standard triathlon and standard aquabike, starting at 7:30. And then we've got our sprint triathlon, duathlon, and aquathon starting at 8. We've just got that split up so that there's some time to get into transition and not be overcrowded within transition. So if you want to try to stick close to your time frames of when to be entering in and out, that would be appreciated. Then we've got the Dev series starting between the youth, so 12 to 15, all the way to the 16 and 19 and U23, prior to the age group events. So we've got here, I'm going to skip down to 8:10 in the morning. That's when our age group athlete swim warm up is. So you're welcome on the left side of the beach to do a warm up during that time frame between 8:10 and 8:30. Then we're looking at 8:30 to 8:40, just having a mandatory briefing there for the standard triathlon and the standard aquabike. And then we're going to have a kickoff by a horn of some type as well that Fiona will tell you about. That 8:45 is when the standard triathlon and standard aquabike start together. At 9:10, we have the mandatory sprint triathlon and sprint duathlon and aquathon briefing at that point. And then at 9:30, we have the kickoff of the sprint triathlon and the sprint aquathon start at that point. And 5 minutes later, we have our 9:35 sprint duathlon start at that time frame. Any questions from our athletes online?
Nope,
Okay.
nothing in the chat yet.
Excellent. So then, of course, at 11:30 approximately, we're looking at some awards and prizes and stuff. And then we're also having a pancake breakfast, right? So good eats after we're done racing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to touch a little bit on the swim course here. So when it comes to the swim course, we've got swim caps that are placed in your packets that you'll pick up. And please don't trade them. The colors are color coordinated with the distance that you're doing. So for example, sprint distance is green and standard distance is blue. You will also have your wristbands that are coordinating with your swim caps as well, just for volunteers to be able to identify what event you're doing and to help support you. Please wear your own, the swim cap for the race, and it must be worn underneath your own if you choose to wear more than one, just to kind of give you a heads up. Wetsuit. So wetsuit decision, so mandatory, allowed, and forbidden. We've got that listed here within the athlete guide. So when it comes to age group from the youngest to 55 to 59, forbidden if it's 22 degrees and above, and mandatory for wetsuit if it's 15.9 and below.
Can we jump
Age
back
group.
to transition just real quick? Jen, sorry. There's a question, does transition close? So I'm going to assume it would close after or before the athlete swim warm-up. We don't have that
So
indicated.
Deb series, sorry, we're looking at age group right now, sorry.
Age group, when does the
Okay.
transition close?
Yeah,
Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
Sorry, I
That's
couldn't.
okay.
I had trouble with my system here to raise my hand, so I
Hmm.
had to just throw in something quickly. So I'm in the sprint triathlon event, and I'm looking at the different times for when the transition opens, and I get that. But I also noticed that the start of the first event is 8 o'clock. No, wait a minute, 7:40.
Mhm.
So then I thought, I think I'm going to bump into people here. So I wondered if people are actually going in to transition, like our sprint group, for example, while potentially running into athletes that are coming in.
Mhm.
So I had just wondered about that. And
Yeah, great
secondly,
question. Yeah.
is there dedicated racks for each group? So if, for example, in the sprint is there a dedicated rack for us when we arrive at 8 o'clock? Do you know what I'm saying? Are we just going to have to show our bike in
Absolutely.
wherever?
Yeah, I got you covered. Yeah, absolutely. So within transition, which will, I can show you the map as we get to, but in transition, there'll be designated areas for the Dev series in one area and sprint and standard course in another. So we have definitely take that under consideration. So thanks for your feedback on that, because we want to keep everything flowing and safe inside and out when it comes to transition. So absolutely, you'll be able to enter into your time frame there for the sprint between 8 and 9 in an area that will be away from the Dev series that's in another section of their own. So absolutely.
Okay.
Does that answer all of it? Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry. And I
Okay.
have one more question
Sure.
to the swim warm-up. So
Yeah.
the whole group of us, age group, can jump into the water at 8:10 in that sort of off to the side warm-up area, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But we don't have to get out of the water at the different times when, for example, the aquabike starts, the standard aquabike. You know what I'm saying? Because I really tried to slot in where would I really jump in and warm up and then get back out of the water to be marshaled and then athletes briefing and all that. So the bottom line question is, can I go in anytime after 8:30 or
For your
8:10 to
warm up.
8:30? Yeah, and squeeze
Well,
in
so
sprint.
we have warm up designated between 8:10 and 8:30. So for the standard aquabike, you said that you do. I'm sorry. Is that
No,
what you said?
sorry, I'm speaking
Sorry.
too quickly here. So I start at 9:30, right?
Okay.
The sprint
Okay.
triathlon.
Yeah.
And if I jump in the water at 8:10 to
Yeah.
8:30, that's a whole hour standing around wet. So
Yeah.
I was thinking of just timing that differently, but I don't want to interrupt other start times and other fence that's sort of in between. I was going to jump in at 8:50, for example. And
Right.
I'm hoping
Yeah.
I can do that warm up at
So
8:50.
yeah, I think that because of the Dev series will be away from that area, and we're looking at having the standard just before. So as long as we can say that we can see that being a safe and we can work with a later time frame, we can definitely let you know. But for sure, you can go in between 8:10 and 8:30, and then I think that what we could do is at that time frame, we'll let you know if that's feasible or not. Does that sound fair?
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Was there any other questions there, Jamie?
I'm not sure if Sheila has a question. She's not muted.
Okay.
You know, just on that point, Jen, it could be that you hold it until those Dev series athletes get out of the water and through transition, and then open transition. Like, it depends how quickly they finish their swim.
Yeah. So just can I just touch on something too? Like this is a tight time frame, you guys, that we have scheduled here for Sunday, and I just want to speak to that too as well, because with the Dev series as well as the age group athletes, we want to make it the best event for everybody. So we've got a tight schedule here. So we're going to try to adhere to this schedule as close as we can. But as you know, race day comes, there can be some differences of, a time frame gap, somewhat. Based on an event, right? So we want to make sure it's a good experience for everyone, and that's why we've kind of got looking at some tight time frames in there. So we are looking at trying to have everyone start at a reasonable time frame to when they arrive as well for the event. Sound fair? Excellent. Sheila, did you have a question? Sorry, Jamie said that you might have had a question.
She's muted herself, so I don't think she did.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. So we touched on the swim, we touched on the wetsuit temperatures as well. We talked about swim cutoff course. So the standard, it's an hour and 10 minutes from the for the standard athlete when you enter the water, and for sprint, it's 30 minutes after you enter the water. Athletes entering out of the water after cutoff will not be allowed to continue as well. Just a heads up. Excuse me. In the swim course here, we have the sprint as the 750 meters, and standard doing 2 loops of that to equal the 1500, sorry, and then the super sprint, the small triangle, so which is our Dev series. So just for the sprint, for people that are on the call right now, we're looking at starting on the beach here and heading straight out, and then you're going to hit turn a right hand turn, and you're going to turn this way down towards back to the beach, and then straight across again and down and hitting the beach. So if you're going to do the standard, you're going to do 2 loops. You're going to actually come out of the water around the buoy and swim back out again and do that same loop. So transition here, guys. Did you have anything else to add? Sorry, I should have said that to you, Fiona. Was there anything else you wanted to add on the swim part?
Just a
Before I go
couple
to transition. Yeah.
of points.
Yeah.
No interfering with other swimmers when you're swimming. That is potentially a disqualification if it's believed that you're intentionally interfering with another swimmer. And the other thing I thought I would cover is the swim start. It's on the beach, obviously. We ask the slower swimmers to seed yourself at the back of the pack. There will be a call of on your marks, and then an air horn or other loud blast to indicate the start. Dolphin diving is not permitted in the entry and also in the exit. And also a false start. If there's a mass false start, there will be several blasts from the air horn, and everyone will exit the water, and we will repeat the start. If an individual false starts, but the rest of the group all start appropriately, then that individual will receive a time penalty. Thanks, Jen.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Fiona. So just like touching base on transition.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, Josh. Yeah.
Just a quick question. So swimming, we're swimming around, buoy on the right, buoy on the right, buoy on the right, and then on the left.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of like a somewhat of a square, sort of like, you know what? And honestly, I did speak to this on our last group too, as well, is that this is going to be as close as possible. But when it comes to placing some of these buoys, there's some shallow sandbar in here too, as well, that when we use the rescue unit to place these buoys, it might not be exact race date, but this is where we, you know, that we're looking at trying to place it for our swim course for on Sunday. Yeah. You got it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Janet, it's Dan too. Good. Could I ask a question quick?
Sure.
I asked in the chat too, but when we come out in the standard, we have to do a second lap, obviously. Are we running really far along the beach like we did last year, or just a quick thing like we did 2 years ago?
I don't recall it. Sorry, I don't recall it being long last year, but you know it better because I wasn't there at the beach. My insight would be that we have a buoy there that you're simply running out of the water and going around it. So
Yep.
I
Around
feel-
and back out?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's what it
Yeah.
was 2 years ago, but last year they ran across the beach back to the start line.
Oh, no, that
recall-
wasn't
do you
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, you don't. Sorry. Yeah. So far as I'm concerned, Dan, that's what we're going to do. Is we're going to exit out of the water around the buoy and back in.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent.
And just to mention that it's a chip start. So when you cross the timing mat, that's your start time.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions that you can see? Perfect. Thanks, guys. So transition here, just to touch on. So transition is located on the Echo Lake Beach, of course, and it's about approximately 25 meters from the start and finish area. So transition opens at 6:30 that we've covered already for the Dev Series, and then 7:30 for the age group athletes. There will be a bike mechanic. We have Western Cycle. Bert will be there too as well, just outside of transition area. As you can see, our beach area here, I'm just going to do a little run through. So you're leaving the beach area here after getting out of the water and entering transition. And there will be designated areas within transition of where the sprint and the standard are. So you will have your space to be able to have your transition set up based on the event that you're doing within. You're going to exit out on the green arrows here for the bike mount. So getting on your bike after the bike mount. And then when you come back in from your bike, following the orange here on my map, and you're running along the side of transition here. So it's on your left. Turning your left hand turn back into transition to go to your bike rack to set your bike on, and then taking your helmet off afterwards. With the transition area, please don't have any extra bags around your bike area or transition area. Please store that outside of the area or really close back against the fenced area, just really out of sight of avoiding anybody to trip on or to cause any kind of garage sale type thing, right? So with that being said, you're going to exit out of transition to do your run. And so you're going to look at following these blue areas out here and just taking a slight right, and you're going through a grassy area, making your way to part of a pavement area, and then you're left out to a pathway to the grassy area again. So that's your transition area. You want to have your chip and your number and your body marked as well for us to set up your transition. For safety reasons, you're not permitted to ride your bike in and out of the transition area. Again, I talked about the mount and dismount line. You want to ensure that when you're entering into the transition to put your bike in transition, that you will be showing the officials that your helmet can be done up and proper fit when you're entering in, and then please remove just removing anything, if I can emphasize, just anything extra around your area of your bike outside or against the fence. let me see. Oh, just again, and if there's any markings on your bike, such as balloons or, or towels, those will be removed. You can't mark your bike in transition area. And just keeping your personal items removed from there. And then transition, you would have here racking your bike. It's showing the right and the wrong. You'll have both volunteers as well as officials be able to support you, and ensuring that your bikes are racked properly. And then when you're returning from T2 or when you're returning from the bike, like I said, you want to rack your bike in the same spot, and then not unclipping your helmet until your bike's been properly racked.
Jan?
Yes. Do you want to just add to the transition area?
Yeah, just a couple of points.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jen's already covered the how you rack your bike. Also, I would let you know that if you do leave your chin strap clipped, officials will be going around and unclipping those while you're swimming. And a problem that we had at the Give It a Try race, because we didn't think to mention it to newcomers, is you can't just fling your stuff at the fence. So people were ripping their wetsuit off and then flinging it over to the fence. You need to pile it within that, couple of feet that is your bike area. Thank you.
Excellent. And I think somebody had asked in the messages if you could have a small towel. It has to be like a very small towel to for wiping your feet. Absolutely, you can. You just want it very fit into your transition area. Thanks, Jamie and Fiona. So just moving on to the bike. So the bike course again is a little bit of rolling terrain, as well as there's some flat. You're basically going around our beautiful lake. I'm just looking for a map here. You're exiting out of transition and heading to Highway 56, turning right. And then you'll be doing another right-hand turn, which will be volunteered there to support as well. And there's no other way to go but around the lake after that. So you're heading around the entire lake until you're making your way into Fort Capel. There will be a right-hand turn after the bridge, and then another short left-hand turn on the 2nd Street, which is Bay Street. And then you would turn back right onto Broadway. There'll be volunteers there and the fire department as well. Excuse me, but we'll be able to provide direction for you. But it's very straightforward. You're heading right back around the lake and coming back into transition. Once around the lake is for our sprint distance, is just under 20K. Twice around the lake is for our standard. The road is not closed down from traffic, so just be mindful of that. Just to mention, I just want to skip back here to see if there's anything I missed.
Okay.
Yeah, Andrew, go ahead. Okay. Standard aqua bike athletes complete the same bike course as the standard athletes, and then the sprint duathlon complete the same as the bike course as the sprint do as well. Bike drafting, I think I'll have Fiona just speak on that. She'll want to add a couple things in here because I know there's a few changes with drafting and such. So Fiona, I'll let you take the lead.
Okay, thank you. So this is a non-drafting race. The draft zone is 12 meters from your front bike wheel to the front bike wheel of the athlete in front of you. It used to be 10 meters, but this year it was changed to 12 meters. And you have 25 seconds from entering the draft zone to pass. That used to be 20 seconds, but in keeping with the draft zone being longer, you now have 25 seconds to get through the draft zone. Oh,
Sorry.
okay. Blocking another athlete is where you position yourself on the road so that somebody can't pass you on the left, which is where passing is to be done. So that would also get you a penalty. The penalty for drafting in the standard distance is 1 minute, and for the sprint distance is 30 seconds. It says here in the guide to be served in transition, in T2 in transition, we will actually be setting up a penalty box area just before the transition. So after the dismount, when you're running your bike to transition, the penalty area will be there. If you have been given a drafting penalty, so if out on the bike course, an official has shown you the blue card that says report to the penalty area, you will have to stay in that penalty area to serve the penalty that applies to your event. Okay, so I'll also mention the draft zones for motorbikes. It's 15 meters, and for vehicles is 35 meters. I'll also just take this opportunity to mention that, most of our corrections that the officials expect to be making are going to be, stop and correct. So if you started to get on your bike before the mount line, you'll have to get off your bike, cross the mount line, and go. So a lot of these, our approach will be a correct and go, and that's how your time penalty will be applied. One safety mention while we're on the bike course discussion is asking you to vocalize your intentions. So to tell the person you're passing on the left. This should help to keep us all safe on the bike course. And finally, crossing the center line is a disqualification. Unless it's obvious you've had to cross the center line to, avoid an obvious accident, crossing the center line is a disqualification. Thanks, Jen.
Yeah, thank you, Fiona.
Can I just make one point as the head referee? The official does not have to give you a reason for your penalty, the drafting. And if you serve your penalty in the penalty box, there's no appeal for that penalty. That is acknowledgement of that penalty. And there's other kinds of violations around safe sport and conduct. Of course, you've all signed those waivers, so we don't expect to see any of those, but those are disqualifications. So arguing with an official, that kind of thing.
Great. Thanks, ladies. Thanks for the feedback there. I just want to mention that when you are passing people and you're yelling on your left, make sure you're encouraging that person too on the race and hooting and hollering and giving them praise as well. So anyhow, thanks, guys. So just heading on from the bike, I'm going to make our way down here to the run course. Super fun. I'll just make note we're just passing the super sprint because that's the Dev series. And we're just going to head right to the sprint distance. And I'm not going to read through it. I'm going to get you guys to follow along the map. So I hope you all can see my screen. It hasn't changed from last year, kind of just to give you a heads up. So you are exiting transition and heading down the grassy area here within the park area. You're doing a gradual left-hand turn and then kind of just bending a little bit around this corner here, and you're going to run up the grassy area and you're going to cross Highway 56. Now there'll be 2 volunteers right there to support you in this as well when you're running and crossing the highway. You're going to head down Highway 56 to the four-way crossing there. Again, there'll be more volunteers there supporting you. And then you're heading on a right-hand turn down into the park there. And then as you head down to the bottom, you're going to head up a slight hill here, and you are come across your aid stations here. There's two, one on both sides. So you're going to cross the aid station here as you come up that slight hill, and you're going to take a bend in the right, and you're going to go into the campground area that's called Hole in the Wall. So somewhat a little bit of a triangle here. You're going to head up a slight hill again here where there's bathrooms on your side, and head back to the aid station. You're going to turn your immediate right at the aid station here and follow this down on a grid road on a kind of a false flat that somebody else has mentioned. And you're going to do a half moon or turnaround here at the Hidden Coulee Campground and head back on the right-hand side of the road. For the sprint course, you're going to do another half loop, meaning you're going to do a left-hand turn here at the aid station again, heading out into the hole in the wall and back up to the aid station, and then turning left, making your way back to the finish line, crossing over the highway, back in the grassy area, and going through the finish line. So that is the sprint course. Again, it hasn't changed from last year. We'll have lots of volunteers, lots of pylons marking the course, and we have mile markers too as well to support that. For the standard distance, I'm just going to skip to the map too as well. And so it's very similar. You're just doing 4 loops though, instead of 1.5. So you're exiting off of the beach area into the grassy area, doing a slight left turn in here, kind of a roundabout bend across the grassy area, across Highway 56, running down the highway here to the 4-way stop. And you're going to do a right-hand turn, heading into the Pasqua Lake area along the beach area, and you'll get to a spot right in front of the fisherman's kind of shack, and you're doing a left-hand turn up a slight hill here, and then you're at the aid station. So you have the aid station on one side, and then the other side. You're going to turn a right-hand turn right here into, again, the campground area, making your slight turn here back to the aid stations and making a right-hand turn to the Hidden Coulee Campground. And you're going to all the way down here. This is a bit of an incline, kind of like false. Again, going around the roundabout in the Hidden Coulee Campground and back on your right-hand side. And then you're going to go back in here for your little loop here, back out again. Same thing until you've completed floor. And then you're going to go on your 4th loop. You're going to turn your left-hand turn back down the slight hill, back to the Highway 56, and down to the crossing, back in the grassy area, and finishing at the finish line here for your standard event. The aquathon and the duathlon and the aqua bike. So the aqua bike is following the standard course. So they'll do 2 loops of the bike course and head out with the standard triathlon, as well as the sprint aquathon will head out with the sprint and also do the same sprint course as well for the run. For the aqua bike, the official overall time ranking will be recorded at the finish line. So you must rack your bike, put on your change of shoes if you want, and then make your way to the finishing line. And that's where your official time will be recorded. So the duathlon will also follow the same run as the bike course as a sprint, like I said. And then when it comes to the second loop for the duathlon, there'll be a 2.5K. So you're following the same route that you did before, and you're not doing the out and back around here with the loop, but you're just going straight out and doing a halfway point. There'll be a volunteer there that will help guide you, plus a turnaround signage. before you to turn around and make your way back. That will total your 7.5 loop for your second loop for the duathlon. Any questions on the run course?
So Jen, I'll just add a couple of things. Well,
Yeah,
people
for sure.
get their questions together.
Yeah.
Bibs on the front
Mhm.
when you're coming into the finish in particular, please. It'd be useful for volunteers if you have them on the front for the whole of the run. No littering. You will be sent back to pick up any litter that you throw on the ground. Interfering with other runners would garner you a time penalty that you would see posted at the end of the race. Yvonne will go over those details. No outside assistance, so nobody handing you food or water or taking your clothing or giving you clothing, except obviously if there's an emergency, then emergency procedures have to apply. You can't wear your bike helmet on the run, in case anyone's tempted to do that because it's cold. And yeah, you do need to have clothing on your top as well as on your. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Fiona. Yeah, just for timing results, I just note a little bit here too as well. So official results will be posted on Zone 4 website in real time. And if you do decide to drop out of the race, please, you guys, please let a race official know and return your time in chip just so that we can keep track of you, of course. And then please don't cross any kind of finish line either. So again, just notify us. So thank you. Parking on race day. So parking, please try to park on the south side of the race site, so towards the fishing parking lot, or as well as on the west side of the parking lot end. Part of the course of the bike course and exiting out transition is through that parking lot. So if you keep closer to the fishing area for the parking lot there, that'd be appreciated. And then just a couple race items, guys, like your wristbands. We'll try to make sure you put those on when you do your package pickup, but your wristband has to be on the whole time. That'll help identify yourself, matching your bib, just to understand for the volunteers of what event that you are doing during race. Because if somebody's saying, where do I go? Then we have to be able to point, give you some direction of like which event you're doing. So that'd be good. So, and as well, you want to keep on your wristband because that's what gets you into your breakfast. So it gets your food after your race. So you want to make sure you're wearing your wristband. And then timing chips provided by Zone 4. And when you come to get your body marking and get your chips on Sunday, you want to make sure that you are getting your body markings on your left arm and your left leg, and as well as your timing chip will go on your left ankle as well. I just skipped over. So yeah, so make sure it's on your left ankle. Washrooms, of course, are on site on the lake there. Race day, there will be medical and post-race support too as well. We have our ski patrol on site that will be there, as well as we will have our amphibious group that are in the water help and support us too, as well as a rescue unit on that race day. And then post race day, just we're excited to offer like our pancake breakfast again to our participants. So again, wristbands, and approximately between 11 and 12, and maybe that may vary just a little bit, but for sure. And then want you to be able to enjoy some pancakes and some fruit and well-deserved celebration time. There'll be some prizes given out too as well, and getting your medals when you cross that finish line. So, and I just wanted to note that anybody that's interested in the World Championship qualifying spots, you do have to show your express your interest before July 5th. So it's the link is noted in the race guide for you. And I know that Yvonne sent out, or Stats sent out some reminders too in our newsletters. So I just wanted to check back to the board here that are supporting me tonight. If there's anything else that they wanted to add, or if you guys have any other questions, please go ahead too.
So if you you didn't fill out the EOI, expression of interest, and it's Triathlon Canada's, and you won your event and you're like, hey man, this is awesome, I want to go to Worlds. Unfortunately, you can't. So you have to fill out ahead of time, and there is one spot available to the general public, and that could be anybody who registers in Echo from across Canada can try to take that spot. It's not for just Saskatchewan athletes, but if you are a member of the Athlete Excellence Program, those spots are for Saskatchewan, for members of that program, and you can still join it. There's one dedicated spot per age group, male and female, for the sprint, the standard, and at this race. So make sure that you don't forget. I get emails all the time after that they forgot about it. But unfortunately, we can't change it. It has to be done ahead of time. And I think it's $20 that you pay. And if you do make the team, that money goes towards your team fee. So it's not completely lost. I will say about any penalties, we will have by the finish a whiteboard that will list all the bib numbers with penalties, whether they're disqualifications, and for various reasons. You can appeal those. Let's say you had a little tiff with an official. That has happened from time to time. Okay, it's not out of the norm and you're disqualified. You can appeal that disqualification, and I'm the person that you're going to see. And there's a form you're going to fill out, and you're going to hand me $50 when you give me back the form. And you're going to explain the situation in detail on that form. And then I'm going to take that form, and there's a jury that has been assembled, and they're going to hear your case. So if that happens, it may never happen, but if it does, make sure you include evidence. That's always going to strengthen your case. So, but again, we're going to have a little whiteboard at the end. Hopefully that whiteboard is got nothing on it. But you'll see that there. The other thing I'll say about timing is we use, and Fiona made this good point about having your bib visible. We validate our timing, so we have electronic state-of-the-art zone 4 timing. It's never failed for us in 3 years. But even so, we don't just take that for granted. We do manual backup times, and we compare those two. And we will, while your results will be live, they won't be official until we have had a chance, and this is very important in world qualifying events, that these data have been checked against each other, and I will be doing that validation immediately after the results, and then once they'll be official. If you or your family member see something, and this has happened too, that doesn't seem right, then you come and talk to me about it. And sometimes, like, these race files are programmed where different mats they're all set up into a software application, and sometimes we put the wrong activator by the wrong field, and we just switch that up, and then it corrects itself. So it's really good to come and talk to me if you think there's something not right with your time, and before that but we will be validating and checking those things, but we do like to know that. So that's all I like to say about timing, and just have a really great day.
I wanted to mention that there are timelines around filing a protest. The most common timeline is that you need to advise the head referee within 50 minutes of either the time you finished or the time the person finished that whose behavior you might be protesting. And then you have a further 15 minutes, so 30 minutes from when you finish to complete your form and pay your $50.
Yeah, so come up to me right away and say, hey, I'd like to protest this, and I give you the form, you come back, and then we file. So it's about a 30-minute window. If it's 31, I don't think Fiona's going to cut us off. I think we'll still be good. But just do your due diligence around that and don't delay.
Awesome.
There's one
Thank
question in the chat, Yvonne, and I'm
Yeah.
not sure if you answered it, but Dan asked if you could briefly mention the Athletes X Awards program slots for Worlds.
Yeah, so there's one, if you're in the Athlete Excellence Program,
Yeah.
sorry. If you're in the Athlete Excellence Program, there's a spot for each 5-year age group per gender. And no other athletes, unless you're in the program, have access to those spots. So if you want to increase the probability of going to Worlds, join the Athlete Excellence Program. But you
Awesome.
still have to fill out the EOI form. If you're in the Athlete Excellence Program, you still have to fill out that expression of interest with Triathlon Canada
Okay, that was my question. Thank you, Yvonne.
and pay your fee. So don't delay. It's just that when we'll produce 2 sets of results that go to Triathlon Canada on who those people are in those spots. And don't worry, we roll them down. So try your best. But they'll roll down if the first person doesn't take that spot then, and you've paid that fee, it will get rolled down to you. So we actually provide the top 5 candidates from the results, and we send those to Triathlon Canada.
Awesome. Any other questions? Thank you for providing more knowledge on the policies and around officiating and the rules there. Both Fiona and Yvonne, appreciate that. So saying that, let's just have a good, fun, clean race and kick some butt and just enjoy the day. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and thank you, Jen. She's done so much work. I think you guys are going to have an awesome time. So thank you, Jen.
Thanks.
And Jamie.
Awesome. Team effort. High five.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop the recording and we're going to post this. So
All right.
you have it.